evening, guys. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this evening's Financial Coaching Masterclass. I'm just going to, I've just tried to turn the notification little bell icon off so that we don't get the little sound playing as people are coming in, but I couldn't seem to turn it off, so my apologies. But good evening, everybody. I think the sun is definitely getting to me this evening. Lovely to see all of you. Hi, Kathy, lovely to see you. Katie, Alison, Jane, Amy, Julie, lovely to see you. Adrienne, lovely to see all of you. There's so many of you to say hi to. Let me just let these guys in too. Amazing. Hi, Rena. Hi, Simon. Hi, Mike. Lovely to see all of you. I appreciate that some of you may not have your cameras on. That's absolutely fine. It's still a pretty hot evening, right? So some of you may be sitting in your gardens. That's absolutely fine. Okay, let me just let everybody else in. I'm gonna just do a very brief introduction, and just while we're waiting for people to join for the next couple of minutes, and then I will close off the waiting area. But yes, a very warm welcome to everybody this evening. Very, very warm evening. And welcome to the masterclass. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with Zoom by now, particularly during lockdown. I think it's become kind of our best friend. But just in case you're not familiar with Zoom, just a couple of kind of housekeeping bits before we get started. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen, there's a chat box, whether on your computer or on your phone. If you could have that chat box open and to the side, this will be an engaging Q&A based masterclass. So I'll be asking you to share your thoughts as we go through the masterclass, and also at the end for questions and answers. So please have that chat box open. And if you can open that right now and drop me a message in there and let me know where you're listening from. I'd love to know which part of the country or which part of the world you're listening from. And also, what's your current role within the financial services profession? Are you a practicing financial advisor? Are you a practicing financial coach? I'd love to know a little bit more about you. So just open up the chat box at the bottom. That would be wonderful. If I could ask all of you as well, just to remain on mute throughout the masterclass. We are going to be recording it this evening. There are a few people that couldn't make it because of some time zone issues and other commitments. So just to ensure that people watching the replay can hear everything. I am going to share some information this evening at the end of the masterclass about a financial coaching training program that we won an award for recently, and we're about to close the doors for the September cohort. So I know some of you have joined this evening wanting to find out a bit more about that. So I will be sharing some information with you at the end of the masterclass, along with an extra special offer as a thank you for joining this evening. Okay, the other thing I would also suggest that you have handy is a pen and a piece of paper. There will be some questions, some tips, some things that I'm going to be sharing that hopefully will be useful for you to start implementing into your businesses. So please make sure you've got either a notes page on your phone or a pen and paper handy. So let's just have a look at, see where all of you are from. So Manchester, oh hi Rena, lovely to see you. Orpington, Kent, wonderful. Oh, Australia, goodness Mike, what time is it in Australia right now over there? Let me know in the chat. I love Australia. I've actually got a family on the Gold Coast. My dad and my twin brother live on the Gold Coast, so wonderful part of the world. An IFA in Liverpool, welcome Colleen, lovely to see you. Jane from Leeds, West Yorkshire. Oh, Will Writer, awesome. Tim, welcome from Wimbledon, currently an IFA. Adriana from London with 2 kids driving me mad in the background. Yeah, my kids are strategically at football this evening, but they may creep in later on this evening. Guy, welcome from Surrey. Joe from Manchester, Paraplanner client manager, amazing. God, paraplanners are like the bedrock of every single financial planner organization. Simon, welcome, lovely to see you. Financial planner from London. Another Amy's from London, amazing. Oh Rob, I was down your end, your neck of the woods in Poole at the weekend. Actually, it was beautiful weather. Lovely. So lots of you are current financial planners, then financial advisors, and also within the financial services profession. Kate, considering a career change and currently studying for my RO exams. Amazing, Kate. How are you finding those, Katie? Yeah, 4 a.m. Wow, that deserves some kind of round of applause, Mike, for showing up at 4 a.m. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And Tony from Milton Keynes, you are on my doorstep. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining this evening. I am planning to close off this masterclass at 8 o'clock this evening. I'm sure many of you have got other things to be doing this evening as well. So I will try my best to keep on time. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. I've got a couple of slides to share with you this evening. So if you just give me 2 seconds, I'm going to just pull up my slides. There we go. Let's move the video to the top. I'm just going to go into present. Okay, awesome. Can you just let me know in the chat box whether you can see my slides, or just give me a thumbs up in the video? Perfect, thanks. Thanks so much, that's great. Okay, awesome. Right, let me just bring up the waiting area just in case anybody else comes in at the last minute. Okay, awesome. Right, let's move that over there so I can see. Wonderful. So welcome to this evening's Financial Coaching Masterclass. Now, for those of you who haven't come across my work before, this is just a little bit about who I am. So my name's Catherine Morgan. I'm founder of the Money Panel. I've been in financial services since I was 18. I'm now almost 40, so that gives you an idea of how long I've been in financial services. And I've pretty much worked my way through a variety of different roles. I actually spent about 16 years in the banking sector. Worked my way through mortgage advisor, financial advisor. I was a sales manager out in the Channel Islands. And it wasn't really until 2016 that I really discovered financial coaching. It's still a very new, pioneering, growing field in financial services. It's a really, really exciting place to be. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story later on, just to share some significance of the power that financial coaching had for me personally, but also in my business. And when we launched the Money Panel a few years ago, we essentially now have a very, very successful 6-figure financial coaching business in the UK. And the reason I share that with you is because a lot of people think that financial coaching doesn't make money. And whilst I'm not going to talk about the specifics of pricing in today's masterclass, we cover that in the training program. I really want to be clear that financial coaching is not for people who are in debt. This is not for people who necessarily are struggling with money. This is to really help to change people's relationship with money. And it can be a very profitable way of including this in your existing business or setting it up as a sideline, separate, unregulated business. And I'm very happy to answer any questions about that this evening. The Money Panel is a separate, unregulated business, but I still operate as a current financial planner. And I do believe it's possible to do both. There can be some kind of benefits to having it as a separate business, but I do believe it can be introduced in both a regulated capacity and in a separate business. But yeah, well, our training program won a recent awards and innovation awards, and you'll often see me across the stage on Morningstar and various conferences that I've spoken at as well. So let's get stuck into what is financial coaching. What I'm going to share with you in today's masterclass is what I believe financial coaching is and how it can really help you, not just you as an advisor and in your capacity as a coach or as an advisor, but also for your clients, how we can help to spot some of their limiting beliefs around money and why you would want to be doing that in the work that you're already delivering. And also how and why to integrate it into a business, in brackets or not, as the case may be for some of you. And I'd be interested, actually, let me know in the chat box today whether, how far in this journey are you? Are you thinking about setting this up as a separate business because maybe you're not satisfied with your work in the regulated space? And I hear this a lot from financial advisors, that they're kind of fed up with the regulation. But I also hear that there are a lot of financial advisors who just want to add some extra value add service to their business to really future-proof their business for the future. So let me know in the comments kind of whereabouts you sit at the moment in your current business. But let's first of all kind of explore a little bit about what is financial coaching. So what do you guys think financial coaching is all about? Let me know in the comments. How would you describe, from what you know about financial coaching, Some of you may be familiar with the principles. You maybe have listened to podcasts or read books around this subject, but I'd be really interested to see, what are your views on what financial coaching means? So let me know in the chat box what you think. So Simon's saying, yeah, add value. Yeah, Adriana, adding value, absolutely. And what's really interesting for me around adding value is it adds value to you and your client. The meaning, the work that this kind of creates, the transformation for clients is so powerful. You walk away from these meetings just feeling completely blown away with the transformation that the client has actually created for themselves by you holding that safe space and using your skills as a coach to be able to guide them through that change. So Kevin's saying, yeah, helping people make better financial decisions. Yeah, spot on, Kevin. Jane, tackling the money mindset issues that people have with money. Absolutely, Jane. Rena, the emotional relationship that we have with money, e.g. why some people may find it hard to spend money on themselves. Yeah, guilt, shame, judgment, comparisonitis, all of these strong emotions can have a huge impact on the decisions that we make. And I'm going to share the reasons why that happens in this evening's masterclass. Mike's saying here, I'm not an advisor, but I love coaching people with their money. My definition is helping people gain hope, confidence, and certainty in handling their money. Yeah, it's all about empowerment, isn't it? 20% head, 80% behavior. Yeah, 80%, in fact, more than that, 90% of the decisions that we make every single day come from our unconscious beliefs. That's so powerful. So in fact, most of the decisions that you make every single day in your life come from a set of unconscious beliefs. And most of those unconscious beliefs are not even true. How many times do we wake up getting that little imposter syndrome that comes up to say, you're not good enough to do that. You couldn't possibly set up another business. You can't possibly launch a podcast, do a Facebook Live, introduce this into your business. We get this kind of inner critic that comes out. And that is coming from our unconscious behaviors. And so the power of actually understanding how we make decisions around money can be so, so powerful. Adriana is saying, helping people understand their views and their behaviors. Yeah, absolutely. It really kind of fits in line for me around behavioral finance. It's the psychology of what makes people make decisions about money. Because we all know from a practical perspective what we should be doing. Our clients know what they should be doing. They know they should be spending less than what they earn. They know they need to be taking risks to make their wealth grow. They know that they're not going to get good returns on cash, but they don't necessarily have the confidence or the belief to back up those financial decisions. And that's when people can get into negative cycles, repeated cycles of going into their overdraft, for example, racking up money on credit cards and then having to consolidate it on their mortgage. And then 6 months later, exactly the same thing happens. It's all about their conscious beliefs around money. So financial coaching for me is very much linked into the psychology of how we make decisions, because really there are two main challenges for our clients. The first one is how they feel, and the second is how they behave. Now, if we focus on our work, our very valuable work as financial advisors or planners or will writers or whatever work you're doing right now, if we just do that alone, then we're not really uncovering the client's underlying beliefs. We're not really helping them to change or remove any of the self-limiting beliefs that they have about money to change their financial future and to help them feel more empowered. And for any of you that have ever tried to create new habits, will know how difficult it is to create new habits, how difficult it is to wake up in the morning and start that new diet or start your exercise routine or create a new habit for yourself. It's very difficult to do. Because we tend to do it at surface level. We tend to do it at our conscious level. And so the beauty of financial coaching is through using different frameworks and tools and coaching skills, we can really get underneath the surface of helping clients with their two main challenges, how they feel about money and how they behave around money. Now, if you think about it, every single person has a meaning that they attach to money. They have an emotion that they attach to money. And often that comes up with clients with beliefs such as, oh, I've left it too late. Oh, I couldn't possibly take that much risk. Or I know that I need to give more of my money away to reduce my inheritance tax liability. But they don't always take the action. They don't behave in the way that they're always communicating. And that's some of the big challenges that our clients face today who come into our financial planning practices. So bearing in mind that those kind of main challenges exist for clients, and let me know in the chat box whether you see this with your clients. What kind of beliefs do you see your clients presenting? What kind of behaviors do you sit there and think, oh goodness, like if only I could help you to change that, everything would be different? Let me know in the chat box what you kind of see with your clients. Yeah, Mike's saying beauty. I will put that in 90%. Yeah, fear of change. Yeah, that's a massive one. Thank you for showing that, Adriana. Fear of change is a huge one, because what our clients are really saying there is that they're scared. They don't want to go outside of their comfort zone. And we know that when we do go out of our comfort zone, that's where opportunity lies. So financially, we know that if we can help them to stretch their financial comfort zones and explore the possibilities beyond those boundaries, that then that fear can not necessarily disappear, but we can help to manage that emotion so that then they can start to change their beliefs and their behaviors. And that's the power of using frameworks when you're having conversation with clients about their financial behaviors. So really for me, it stems around kind of three main stages. And these are the stages that I would work through with a client. If I was financial coaching with a client on a one-to-one basis, I would want to be really looking at their financial past without being a financial therapist. I mean, I've studied financial I'm currently studying financial psychology. I've done neuro-linguistic programming. I've done lots of financial therapy-based personal development programs to help me understand more about financial therapy. But really, we don't have to be financial therapists to be able to help clients. This is just about bringing some curiosity to their beliefs. And this is particularly powerful if you've got clients that you're working with that are going through significant changes in their life. Who can give me an example? Change. Sorry, I think my mic's playing up this evening. Who can give me an example in the chat box of a significant change in a client's life that you may be presented with? Yeah, marriage stroke divorce, absolutely. Yeah, a couple of you have mentioned divorce there. Bereavement, yeah, good one, Kathy. Illness, retiring, death of a spouse, yeah, like I think you've covered all of them there. Yeah, birth of children, absolutely. I'm going to share a little snippet of my story actually in a second, which I had PTSD after my second son was born. And it caused me a huge amount of financial anxiety. Loss of a job, yeah, redundancy, having children, yeah, all of those things. And so what happens when a client goes through significant trauma is the way that they think and feel can change. The things that they tell themselves will change. And that can present some limiting beliefs in terms of what they actually feel is possible for them. Realizing their own immortality. Yeah, that's a really good one, Jane. We know that our brains at a neuro level get more emotional as we get older. And a lot of people ask me, like, is financial coaching just for people who are in the wealth gap space? And it's like, no, people who are retired, their brain capacity gets more and more emotional. It's a bit like with children. Children don't have the capacity to think rationally until at least the age of 7 or 8. Because that part of their brain just hasn't developed. I don't know whether any of you've got children, but they get to that kind of age of 7 and 8 and they start questioning things that you've told them for the last 3 years. And you're like, what's going on? What's happened to my child? And it's because the rational part of their brain is starting to develop. And they do start to question things. And as we get older, the emotional part of the brain gets flooded more often. So actually for clients who are retired, this can be particularly valuable. And then you layer it up with the challenges for long-term care issues, inheritance work, gifting, all of those conversations that we have with clients. So it's not just to fill, financial coaching is not just for filling that gap in the advice space. Financial present for me is the planning stage. That's about understanding a client's goals. It's helping them to think about what do they want more of in their life, but actually, what do they want less of? It's a really powerful question to ask a client. What do you want less of in your life, as well as what do you want more of? You know, we often talk about, don't we? What goals do you want? What do you want to achieve? What's important to you about that? You know, what's on your bucket list, those kind of conversations. But actually can also be very powerful to flip that on its head and think about, what do you want less of in your life right now? And the financial future piece for me is more about the outcome. What will having more mean to you? What will having more of this mean to you? What will having less of this mean for you? So for example, I had a conversation just this week with a client who really she doesn't like her job. She's been in corporate for 20 years. She ran a very successful recruitment business before that, and she just wants to run her own business again. But she's had children, she's kind of had the confidence sapped out of her. And by the end of that meeting, she was so focused and so empowered to feel, right, I am going to set up my own business. Because it was about what could she get rid of in her life, get rid of the stress, the anxiety that she currently has in her life. And that was her motivator. That was her motivator. So the financial future piece for me is about the outcome. That's when potentially we can talk to clients as well about financial products that can help them with that part of their journey. So if you're just in the pure financial coaching capacity, buddy up with a financial advisor. If you're going to come away from that, or you're not in that space, buddy up with a financial advisor, because there will be clients who will need all three stages of that journey. And I'm a massive believer in championing, I can't even say the word, I'm going to try again, championing the relationship between advisors and coaches. It's not an either or scenario. It's not one against the other. This is about coming together to show the consumer that it's about them. It's about them. It's not about the complicated products. It's not about the processes. It's just about them. It's just about creating that transformation for them. I saw a couple of thumbs up on the screen there. I love the fact you've all worked that out, how to do that. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about how change work happens. We do a lot of deep dive around this in the training program. But the way that change happens is in 3 stages. It starts with thoughts, what you think about money. Before you even get to the practical steps of what are you doing? Are you spending less than you're earning? Are you managing debt? Are you investing? It starts with the thought process. And you'll all experience this. You'll all know that the messages that you heard growing up sit in your unconscious decisions. Things that you were told as a kid growing up, you believe to be true, unless you actually start to think about, oh, actually, is it really true? Or has that belief just been passed on from my parents? And there's some fascinating research that we share in the program as well about how financial trauma and beliefs can be passed through the generations. That just blows my mind. Because when you do this work with clients, and make sure you tell your clients this, it's not just their life that they're changing and those beliefs that they're changing that are self-sabotaging them. They're changing the future generations of every single person that is coming into their family from that day forward. That is so powerful, so powerful. I think about my relationship with money was very similar to my mum's, very similar to her mum, and very similar to her mum. It's literally passed through the family generations, and so has the trauma. We've had significant body confidence issues in my whole family. My mum's dad was in the Singapore Changi prison during the Second World War. He's survived, came out weighing 5 stone, and unfortunately passed away when my mum was 12. Holiday. Negative relationship with his body because of that. My mum had a negative relationship with her body, and so did I. And there's a really fascinating book, if any of you are interested in this subject, called It Didn't Start With You by Mark Woolin. It Didn't Start With You by Mark Woolin. That's Wollyn. It Didn't Start With You, Mark Woolin. It's a great book. Highly recommend all of you read it. But this is really talking about, we have to help our clients to think differently, feel differently, and behave differently. We can't tell them to think differently. We can't tell them to, oh, well, don't worry about the stock market crashing, because you're telling them something that you believe to be true. If they don't believe it, then the emotion, the fear, the stress, the anxiety will still exist. Anxiety will still exist. We have to help them to change their thoughts, not us to come up with the solutions. And that's one of the biggest skills of financial coaching. And what we teach in the program is to learn, how do you empower the client to create this change themselves. So our thoughts and our emotions lead to our beliefs, and it's the emotions that guide those behaviors. So we need to really get underneath, before we give the advice, get underneath the thoughts and the beliefs that our clients are currently feeling. And just to share a very brief example of how this plays out in real life, I'll just spend literally a couple of minutes just sharing how this played out for me. And then I'm going to go through some 6 steps with you that you can use in your capacity as a coach. So I started off, as I say, in the banking sector. I then had my 2 children. And when I had my second child, we moved back from the Channel Islands. I was a sales manager over there, came back to the UK. I built my first business actually in Jersey as an image consultant. I was helping women to feel better about their bodies because I had such a terrible time with it myself. And when I came back to the UK, I was pregnant with my second son. And when he was 5 weeks old, it was on the 1st of October, I remember it clear as day. And he had a really disturbed night's sleep. He wasn't feeding, he was sleeping for ages. We were like, oh, we've got a winner, we've got a sleeper. And he just wasn't himself. And that day progressed. I had a friend coming over to do some baby hand casting sessions. She came over, and it was my turn to get Thomas out of the Moses basket for him to do his casting. And as I picked him up out of the Moses basket, he just screamed at me. And I remember turning to my friend and saying, something's not right. And just to put this into perspective, when he was 3 days old, we nearly lost him. We were told there was a 50-50 chance he was going to survive the night because he had an infection at birth that the hospital didn't pick up on. And so I was always a little bit sensitive anyway to his needs and his health. So he screamed at me. I quickly undid his baby grow, put his hands in the clay, and I felt his hands, and they were literally like ice. And I remember thinking, well, why are his hands so cold? Like the heating's on, he's got his baby grow on. So anyway, I turned to my friend and I said, look, I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to take him to the doctors. And to cut a bit of a long story short, I put him back in the Moses basket. My friend left. I walked back over to the Moses basket, and he was lying as still as anything. And he was blinking like this. Like every single blink was painful. And I checked his temperature, and his temperature was like 39 degrees. And for anyone who hasn't got children, anything that's over like 37, you're generally grabbing the cow pole or doing something. And I literally bunged him in the car seat. I rang my husband. I said, I'm going straight down to A&E. I'm not taking any chances. And within 20 minutes of arriving at A&E, Thomas's skin just completely mottled. And they literally put me on a wheelchair, wheeled me into resuscitation. And at that point, I had about 16 doctors flooding around me, and they kept using this word sepsis. And I remember thinking, I think I know what sepsis means, but I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, later I was frantically Googling it. But at the time, I went into like solution mode. That's what we do, right? We go into solution mode. What can I do? What do I need to do? Right, this is fine. What do we need to do? Very, very positive. That's just how I am. And we spent 2 weeks in hospital together. He is a beautiful, almost 7-year-old boy now. So he was absolutely fine, by the way. But he then had a lumbar puncture. And 3 days later, he was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, which is the worst form of meningitis that you can have. But because we caught it so early, he was absolutely fine. But when I came out of hospital, I sat back and thought, how many people feel stupid when we use jargon like the doctors were using with me in a hospital? They were using like jargon, sepsis. I was like, well, what does sepsis mean? I didn't know it was the biggest killer of newborn babies. I felt I should know that as a mum, and I didn't know that. And when I went back to work at the bank, there was a massive disconnect for me. I was like, why am I selling complicated financial products that I even found it difficult to understand in the first place? And then trying to help clients understand why they needed them. And there was just a massive disconnect for me. And it took me back to this one moment in hospital when my nurse, this is the actual picture of my nurse, we had this instant emotional connection. And the reason why we had this emotional connection was because she didn't use any jargon. She just came into my room every single morning and said, are you okay? Is there anything you need? And she was like, I always remember to this day, she was just absolutely my rock. And that is who I wanted to be for my clients. I wanted to be somebody that could help them to get through some of the emotional blockages that stop them from taking the action that they so desperately seek. And that's exactly what I did. I then left the bank, set up the money panel, and that's where my kind of journey really began. But consequently for me, when I came out of hospital, I ended up in a massive debt cycle. And I'm sure you've seen this with some of your clients. Debt became comfortable. It became comfortable for me, living in my overdraft every single month for 10 years. Like this had reared its head in prior occasions as well. It became my comfort blanket. It became what I was familiar with. And this is what happens with clients. They have a financial comfort zone, whether it's to do with divorce, marriage, grief, any of those massive life changes or transitions they go through, they have comfort zones. And unless we can help them to move past those comfort zones, they'll always remain in those places. And that's what happened to me. It wasn't until I actually spent some time uncovering my beliefs around money. And you can imagine, as a financial advisor, the guilt I felt about living in my overdraft and giving advice to clients about how to grow your wealth. And I wasn't in that position. So we have to remember, actually, we all have our own money stories. And a lot of our money stories are formed at a very young age. They're formed from two places: our cultural influences and our personal influences, our personal experiences. And those clients will have cultural influences. So even religion, for example, religion can tell them certain things about money. The country that they were born in will have certain beliefs about money. You think about British history, right? British history, the aristocracy of, if you didn't have land or title, you didn't hold any value in society. Now, although that's not quite like that now, we still have that in our British history. It's been passed through the generations. So our grandparents' parents, you think about post-war, was all about scarcity of money. That belief around scarcity of food and money has passed through the generations. That's passed to your parents, it's passed to you. So those personal beliefs and experiences and cultural influences can have a huge impact on how we feel about money. And just bringing some awareness and curiosity to some of those for your clients is step one. That's the first step to understanding how they can go about changing their relationship with money. Let me know in the comments, what was your earliest memory of money? What was your earliest memory of money? Let me know in the chat box. Yeah, that was quick, Jason. Skins. Yeah, like the scarcity, the lack of. And who hears that from their clients? Clients coming in saying, I'm worried I'm not going to have enough money to last me the rest of my life. That's coming from a place of scarcity, not enoughness. Joe, being told I was getting an allowance. Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? It's like a limited amount of money. Once it's gone, it's gone. Which links into Kevin's, like, it doesn't grow on trees. Money doesn't grow on trees. Parents arguing about the lack of. Yeah, Kathy, dad giving my money for collection in church, but hiding it. Oh, that's a big one. That was the same for me, Kathy. My dad used to have his pot and his wardrobe of pound coins. And every year he'd get them out, or we'd count them on the lounge floor. But the fact that they were tucked away in the back of his wardrobe gave me the impression that money was to be secret. Not being given pocket money as a kid, though all my friends were given it. Yeah, like huge judgment there. And as a kid, like, you're like, well, why do all my friends have it and I don't? Simon, getting pocket money for doing jobs around the house. Yeah. Given red pockets at Chinese New Year to put into my children's savings account. Oh, I love that, Tony. Parents talking about it or lack of it. Yeah. How many of you didn't actually hear anything about money? Parents just didn't discuss money. Like, my dad was an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur, and he never talked about money. He talked about the principles of money, building wealth, but never financially, like what position he was in or anything like that. And again, that's an interesting one for me. I always think, should he have done that or shouldn't he have done that? Parents wouldn't talk about money. And not polite to talk about money. Yeah, you don't ever ask anybody what they earn. Don't ever ask anybody what they earn. So yeah, we have lots and lots of beliefs around money that, you know, that have been passed through the generations. And actually, it's not money that's the taboo subject. It's the meaning that we attach to it and the emotional feeling that it evokes. that is taboo. That is what is the taboo subject. It's not money. Money in itself is just a neutral exchange of value. It's a physical coin or, a note. It's the meaning that we attach to it that we need to understand and help our clients with. Okay, so how can we spot clients' money beliefs? So I'm going to give you a couple of little nuggets this evening in today's masterclass. So in the regulated capacity, I would hold what they call a storytelling meeting. I would hold a separate meeting before I do a financial plan, before I do cash flow forecasting with a client, that I call a storytelling meeting. And in that meeting, I want to take the client through a number of steps. The first step is some curiosity, asking them a question like I've just asked you guys this evening. What did you hear about money growing up? I really want to explore with them, what did you hear about money growing up? What lessons did you learn about money? Who influenced you growing up? What's your biggest fear about money? What do you value the most? Is it time or is it money? A lot of people think they value money more, but actually when you get underneath the real reason, they actually probably value time way more than money. And time is the one value in life that we cannot create more of. So that's quite an interesting conversation to have with clients. And step number 2 is about being inquisitive. Are these beliefs actually really true? If a client says to you, there's not enough money doesn't grow on trees, I have to work hard to have money. How many of you believe that yourselves? I have to work harder to be successful. Because a lot of this is to do with judgment and success and status and being liked and making parents proud, all of these emotions that are attached to money. That's really at the core of how we make decisions. So are these beliefs actually even really true? Is there any evidence to support this belief? Is there any evidence to support against this belief? And then it's about understanding the benefits. So before we start going into the whole, if I believe that money doesn't grow on trees, then that means I work really hard and I get massively overwhelmed and I often get into burnout. You'll hear clients talking about these things. Before we start talking about the challenges, I think it's really important to think about the benefits. So what are you gaining from holding on to this belief? So if your client has a belief that money doesn't grow on trees, what could be a benefit of holding on to that belief? Let me know in the chat. What do you think could be a benefit of having a belief that money doesn't grow on trees, like it's hard to come by? You've got to work hard for your money. What could be an upside of that? Yeah, keep some discipline. Love that. They're no longer responsible for not having it. Yeah, they spend what you have wisely. Yeah, maybe being quite frugal, being careful with money. Yeah, comfort zones. Absolutely. Yeah, some excellent examples there. They respect money, ? Yeah. So lots of benefits in there. What could be one of the challenges of holding on to that belief? So let's flip that coin. What's one of the challenges of holding on to that belief? It's scarce and therefore prioritize. Yeah, definitely a benefit. You value it more and spend it wisely. Yeah. Narrow-minded. Yeah. Lack of enjoyment of what it will buy. Not spending it. Yeah, that's a big one, Jason. How many of you have got wealthy clients who you can every time you see them, you're like, you need to give some money away. And then they come back in a year later. Did you do that? Oh, no, I didn't. And it's because we're giving them the advice to do it, right? But they haven't changed their thoughts behind that recommendation. And that's why they're not taking the action. You may not spend money on yourself. Yeah, that's a massive one, Rena. I see that, I would say, the most, particularly with women. Obviously, I do work a lot with women in the consumer space, so I'm probably a bit biased there. But they do feel very uncomfortable about spending money on themselves because they're the caregivers, right? Women are the caregivers. That's our role in society, historically. Not so much nowadays, but historically. And men were the hunter-gatherers. So men very much are about going out, bringing home the bacon, earning the money, providing for their families, all of these cultural beliefs, right? Are they actually true? No, not really. Is it possible for a woman to go out and do the same? Yes, of course. It's not a gender issue. It's just because of those cultural beliefs that we have grown up with. I just think it's quite hilarious how people can spend hours talking about the diversity of this. It's nothing to do with gender diversity. It's all to do with our beliefs around money. Fear of not, no matter how much they have. Yeah, that's a really great one. Jason saying, not my wife. Colin, I'm actually really questioning what I say to my children. Yeah, Colin, this came up in the last masterclass we ran. And if only there was a book, a magic book about how to help kids about money. We've actually done a few podcast episodes on this subject, which you may want to listen to on the In Her Financial Shoes podcast. But yeah, it's about just being consciously aware of what we're saying to our children. You know, like, so if we're out shopping and the kids want everything down the toy aisle, you know, it's like, rather than saying, well, we can't afford that, which is inferring a scarcity or a limit around money, it's, well, we need to make a plan. You know, we need to make choices. We have to prioritize values versus needs versus wants, for example. My kids have a needs versus want chart on their bedroom. And every time they want something, I go and tell them, put it on your needs and wants list. And it gets them thinking about, is it a need or is it a want? Financial education should be part of the curriculum, absolutely. But it isn't just about financial education. It's not just about helping clients to understand how money works. It's about layering that on top of this work. That's when the magic happens. My mum's opinion was that if it impacted our lives, we had a right to be involved. I never appreciated how amazing that was until I joined the industry. Yeah, that's a great insight, Jay. Okay, so step number 5 then is, what would happen if you thought the opposite? This is focusing on the behaviors. And in the program, we'll share with you a framework around how you can really make this happen. What would happen if they thought the opposite? What would become possible? What would become possible in their life that they don't currently have? It's so empowering. Yeah, I love that book by Rob Gardner, Save Your Acorns. It's a really great one. Really, really great one. In fact, we had Rob Gardner on the podcast last year talking about his tips on how to help children around money. And then step number 6 is action. What would you need to be saying, Mr. Client, instead to believe that this was possible? Now we know the benefits, the challenges, what you can do differently. What would you need to be saying to yourself? This is where we talk about affirmations. It's not woo-woo stuff, guys, ladies. This is what we tell ourselves is what we seek. So if you tell yourself, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, your brain is just going to look for more and more evidence to support that belief. So we have to change what we're saying to ourselves at an unconscious level. What we need to be saying instead: I am worthy of wealth. I can take risks comfortably. It's a really great positive affirmation for anyone who's limiting themselves on risk capacity. This blows your mind, right? In terms of those risk conversations with clients. You know, if we can have these conversations, think about how that risk conversation would be so much different when we ask those questions after we've done this storytelling meeting. So it is about bringing curiosity and awareness to our clients' beliefs. So how do you integrate this into your business? Now, as I said earlier, I'm a massive believer that this kind of work is the future of our profession. And this is why I'm so excited to be kind of helping you to be pioneering in delivering this into your business. Whether that's in a regulated capacity or whether it's in a separate business, it doesn't really matter. I personally had it as a separate business, actually largely because the firm I was with at the time thought I was a bit mental and didn't really understand the concepts of financial coaching. And I'm delighted actually to hear that we had 27 people go through the last cohort of our training program. And in the WhatsApp group that we have, one of the ladies dropped in there yesterday that her network has given her the go ahead, that they're absolutely very comfortable to allow her to bring this into her business, which I think is fantastic. It's great to see networks supporting financial advisors to bring this into their businesses. But if you are going to bring it into your business, having a storytelling meeting is a really easy way, once you've got the framework and the skills, to add this as a value add into your businesses. And this will lead to massive opportunities to understand how your client feels about money and help them to be better with money. It's the behavioral changes. We want to focus on deepening those connections through self-disclosure and self-management. What I mean by self-management and self-disclosure is that one of the hardest skills that financial coaching involves is learning how to hold that space in a client meeting where you ask a question and then you listen. And when the client says, oh, I don't know, not asking another question and allowing that space, because what comes after that pause or that I don't know is the magic. This is what we teach in the program. And self-disclosure is where we want to leave our own beliefs at the door. You want to go into that room or onto that Zoom call and leave your beliefs at the table, leave your beliefs at the door, because think about the transference of your beliefs. If you feel that you have to work hard for money and the client makes a comment about that, you could very easily sit there and go, oh yeah, I heard, I totally agree with you. That's not really adding any value to your client. You're just reaffirming that belief. So we have to really learn how to self-disclose. When is appropriate to self-disclose and when is appropriate for us to self-manage, for us to hold back and not say anything and just ask some really powerful, open coaching questions. Understanding your own relationship with money is so important. We had a lady in the training program who's just bought a house, a brand new house that she's renovating in France, because she was like, she finally feels worthy of wealth. Massive transformation for her. She never would have bought that house before she did the program. I just think that's huge. So understanding your own relationship with money is very, very powerful. And for those of you that have done coaching programs before, you have to do the change work first yourself to be able to step into the client's shoes to understand how it feels to be coached, to go through that change work for yourself. And of course, learning how to be a financial coach is how you can then frame and learn the frameworks, learn the tools, learn the exercises that you can use in your work, in whatever capacity. So just before we go into some questions and answers on the masterclass this evening, I just want to spend 2 minutes just sharing with you details about our financial coaching program. And as I mentioned at the start, we do have a little special offer for those of you as a thank you for joining this evening's masterclass. So we won a recent innovation award for this program. This is a financial coaching training program. There are 2 steps in our program. The first step is a 12-week program. It starts in September. And this is live taught, all online, all done on Zoom, with breakout rooms for you to have conversations, role play practice, and build really great relationships with other people going through this journey together. You'll learn how to implement the Money Coach's 6-step changing beliefs blueprints, and that's the framework that we teach you to then implement into your programs. You'll then get access to tools, additional coaching questions and resources that you can then use with your clients. There'll be lots of opportunity for role play and discussions about things like pricing structures. How do you set up as a financial coach? We also have a WhatsApp group where there's been some really great conversations in there about pricing structures and things around that space. For those of you that know my work, I've spent a lot of time and years from learning the marketing of how to market yourself as a financial coach. And that is really important, is how you position yourself as a coach. One of the questions I get asked a lot about actually is, well, how do I attract the right people? It's about how you market your services in terms of who are you going to attract. We have accountability and practice implementation weeks in between. So we have a call every 2 weeks, but in between that you get given some homework, and so we have implementation sessions in between. Nothing too onerous, but just little exercises that you can go off and practice in between sessions. You have access to the portal, which is where we store the exercises, the downloads and the resources for you. We have an online graduation party at the end to celebrate our successes. And at the end of that 12-week program, you then have the option to join our practice program. Now, our practice program is where you can then go into pure practice work. So one of the some of the feedback we've had from previous people on the cohorts is that they want somewhere to be able to actually come online and practice their skills as a coach. And we've actually also taken in some people who have done prior coaching programs who just want that space to be able to practice. And we're also starting that in September as well. And that practice program is if you want to continue to certification, where at the end of that, you have to do 10 sessions. We believe that once you've demonstrated your capacity and your skills as a coach after 10 sessions, we will give you certification as a certified financial coach. We could give you certification at the end of 12 weeks, but for me, that would be completely pointless, because you need to be confident to be able to deliver financial coaching. It's not just about, ticking a box that you've done a training program. This is about actually improving professional standards around financial coaching, because there is no real kind of qualification as such for financial coaching. And we have lots of other things coming up later this year as well, to share with you around the qualification side. So that's how the program works. Just a couple of testimonials to share with you. Rohan Sivajoti, some of you may know, the co-founder of Next Gen Planners, came through our program, and he shared that it's enabled him to ask better and deeper questions with his clients in their meetings. Julie Flynn, Julie has an amazing separate financial coaching business she's about to launch. Very, very excited. We're working together on helping her to deliver that. And she sort of shared really in the program that it helped her to break her own bad money habits, not just for her clients, to feed through the generations. That was a really powerful takeaway for Julie. Scott, we've worked with for a while now, actually. Scott was really looking at changing his own habits and beliefs around money, which is the essence of, that can hold clients back. And then finally, Jessame, she messaged me yesterday and said, for the first time ever, one of her loyal existing customers said, can I meet up again more often rather than avoiding those reviews? That's just massive, right? This is a guy that would find any excuse to go and play golf to not be at that meeting. And so she invited him to a meeting 2 days ago, and that was what he said at the end of that meeting. I just think that is such a value add to any practice. So the special offer, the VIP offer for you guys this evening, if you do want to join, I will be opening up a Zoom office hours call tomorrow for 2 hours. The details of that will be on your email. So if you do have any specific questions, I'll open this up in a second for Q&A, but if you have any questions overnight, you think, oh, I'm not quite sure, want to ask that question, you can just come into the Zoom meeting with a cup of tea or coffee, whatever, and just ask that question with me. But these are special bonuses that were available for just for 48 hours. And if you want to join the September cohort, it will also give you access to a masterclass, which is about defining your message and ideal client. So at the end of that program, if you are looking to redefine your message, your marketing message, and attract your ideal clients, we'll help you to deliver that in this masterclass. You'll also get a one-to-one coaching call with me. I don't do much one-to-one work anymore. So this is quite a limited offer. So this is for you to, at any point before, during, or after the training program, you can book in a 30-minute call with me to talk about anything: marketing, social media, attracting clients, doing a deeper dive around some feedback for you, anything you choose to use that call for. And the investment for the program is 1497 plus VAT, and we break that down into 3 installments if you'd rather pay in installments. If you are an international client, obviously you won't be charged VAT. So if you are out in Australia looking to join, there is a drop-down box that you can select for Australia, and that will take the VAT off, because obviously we don't have to pay VAT on your place when you're not in this country. So it's 1497 plus VAT, or 3 payment installments. Just to cover a couple of very common questions we get before I open up to any questions and answers about the masterclass. The program itself, the 12-week program, you will have 720 minutes of structured CPD. So even if you don't decide to continue into the continuation program, then you'll get 720 minutes of structured CPD. If you do decide to come into the continuation program to get the certification, we charge £97 per month for that certification program. And obviously you can stay in there as long or as short as you wish, but you need to complete at least 10 sessions to get the certification. We have got a PDF that details all of this information that we'll be sending out to you this evening. Again, I'll be around tomorrow for any questions. So I just want to open it up now really to some Q&A. If anybody has any specific questions about anything we've covered in the masterclass this evening, or anything about the program, this is your opportunity to ask any questions. Reiki, I'm moving house in October with 2 small children. Oh, bless you. Would you honour the offers for your cohort in January? No, unfortunately not, Reiki. This is just for this particular masterclass that we have these offers available. The next cohort will be running in December. So if you would like to go on the waiting list for that, then just drop us an email and let us know. We can pop you on the waiting list for December. Good luck with your house move. That's bound to be a busy time for you. The sessions are recorded as well, by the way, guys. So when you look at the dates of the programs, if there is one that you can't make, we do record all the sessions as well. Katie, thanks for the masterclass. Is financial coaching always one-to-one? Oh, great question. Would you follow the same model when or if coaching married couples, and some couples can have different views? Yeah, so there is a tool that we'll share with you actually in the program, Katie, that will help you. And we do a whole session actually around how to what's the right word I'm looking for? My brain's kind of gone to sleep. Like how to manage the conversations between relationships, and we'll get you doing 2 exercises actually that will really help around that subject. So if you are going to coach couples, it is really important to understand their individual views around money, and that's often where you get clashes and disagreements about money. Is it's not because they're bad people, it's just because they have different values around money, and they can form strong, significant clashes. Is it always one-to-one? Absolutely not. Most of my programs now are on group, in group capacities, group basis. I have online courses, masterclasses. I have a membership. I've basically built my business so that I can scale the business. So it's not just pure one-to-one work, because on a one-to-one basis, you're limited obviously to how much capacity you have on a one-to-one. The reason I choose to do that as well is because my mission is to equip and prepare 1 million women. I can't do that on a one-to-one basis. And one of the things I would like to do as well is for those people who are going through my program is I want to be able to offer them support with leads, because we're at complete capacity now in the business. We've got inquiries coming out of our ears really. So it's not just for one-to-one clients. You can use this for one-to-ones, you can use this for couples, you can use this for groups. Online course creations, digital assets are a really valuable asset in your business and a really great way for you to be earning what we call semi-passive income into your business. So yeah, great question, but no, not necessarily just one-to-one work. And do you have a PDF for employers? Yes, we do, Adriana. I can send that over to you. And just drop me an email with your request, and then we can send that over to you. For employers, we do offer as well, if you have more than one person in the group that wants to participate, then we offer a special offer if for kind of multiple purchases, so to speak. Oh, you're welcome, Katie. You're most welcome. Any other questions? Just let me know in the chat box. But I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody for your time this evening. I hope you found that insightful. Maybe got you thinking about, oh, is this an area that you want to uncover and to learn more about in your capacity, in your current roles? And if you do have any specific questions that maybe you don't want to ask in front of everybody, please feel free to drop into the office hours tomorrow. I think it's 3 till 5. Let me just double check. Tomorrow. Yeah, 3 till 5. So the details will be on the email that comes out to you this evening. But thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time this evening. Lovely to see all of you. Have an amazing evening. I hope it cools down this evening. We get some better sleep. Thanks so much, guys. Lovely to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.